Hello there. In this lesson we're going to learn construction 2, which is the construction of a perpendicular bisector of a line segment using only a compass and a straight edge. Okay, so what this means is that we're going to be provided with a line segment, and we know that a line segment is the distance between two endpoints, so this measurement here. So it's a section of a line in between the endpoint C and the endpoint D. Now onto this given line segment then, we are to create a bisector first of all, which we learnt yesterday was a line that cuts something into two equal parts. So we're going to be cutting this line segment into two equal parts, and that line that we are creating will be at right angles to our given line segment CD. Hence it is perpendicular. Now it's always appropriate to draw a sketch before we start a construction to help us to know what our end result should look like. So here's my sketch. This is to represent a C to D. Now remember, a sketch is not like a construction. It's not to scale. It's just a small drawing that doesn't need to be accurate. But what the purpose of it is here is for me to just really be sure that I know what I'm being asked to do. And I'm being asked to create a bisector. So that's a line that's bisecting, cutting this line segment into two equal parts. So that means that the measure between the line I create and point C, that distance here, will be the exact same distance as from the line to the point D as the other side. So this side and this side will be exactly the same because this line is halfway between them. Now what's really important to note was that we were asked to use just a compass and a straight edge. Now we weren't told a ruler, so we would be incorrect to measure our original line segment and then simply use a set square or protractor to draw 90 degrees at the middle point. That would not be a correct construction number 2. So we're going to be using a compass and a straight edge, which doesn't have to be a ruler. It could be the edge of your protractor, for example. And this is how we do it. Your first letter to record down is the letter W. I have the right pieces of equipment. I have my compass with my sharp pencil and my straight edge. Now remember, we're not going to be using any measurements. That will simply be just to connect, to draw the line through. Okay, now what's really important is that we need to open up the width of our compass so that it is more than what we think is halfway between the two endpoints. So on my construction 2 here, my endpoints are A and B. I need to make sure that I open it up so that it's more than halfway, and like it is now. So if it was this measurement, it's not going to work. It's too small. And if I open it too wide, like we discussed last time, then it's actually going to cause problems and it's hard to be accurate. So not too big, not too small, but more than halfway. So I'm going to open it to about this amount. Okay, once we have opened our compass up, we're going to place the point on one of our endpoints, and then we're going to sweep from underneath to above, creating a nice arc like that. Now, without changing the width of the compass, so all I'm going to do is just place my point on the other endpoint, so on B, and do the exact same thing. So I sweep an arc from below and above. And the reason why we had to have it open more than halfway is that's what makes these two arcs intersect each other, cross each other, and that's what we're looking for. So it's important that we go down, below and above on both sides to create these lovely crossings. Now, if you find that your arcs do not cross each other, don't dismay. All that happened was you didn't have your compass open wide enough. So it would have swept around here and this one maybe around here, they would have fallen short. So that's why we had to make sure they were roughly more than halfway. So it should look something like this. Now remember that these are our construction marks, which are our workings, and they are needed to make sure that we get full marks in an exam. And this is our proof that we have used the compass and straight edge rather than using a protractor or the corner of our set square and simply drawing a perpendicular line that we measured was halfway. The next step is to simply connect the 2 points of intersection of these two arcs. So they cross at this point here and they cross at this point here. So if we put our straight edge up against them, and then we're going to draw our line exactly and neatly through the two of those, and that will have automatically created our perpendicular bisector. It's most definitely in the middle because they're the same distance. We use the compass open at the same width from both sides. We're almost done. The next thing that's important to do is to make sure that we indicate that it is most definitely a 90-degree angle in between the two. And that means that we could put a little box in one corner like this. Now, of course, alternatively, we could have put a symbol like that as well. As you know, both represent 90 degrees and a right angle. Now, we always label any points of intersection that we use to help us in our constructions. So the very last thing then is to label the 2 points that we drew our bisector through, and remembering not to use any letters that we already have got for points. And there we have it. Now what we can do is double check. Does it look something similar to our sketch, what we were expecting? And it does. And there we go. Your second letter to record down is the letter S. Okay, let's have a look at it one more time. So, using the one end point, we open our compass to more than halfway and we sweep up and above, drawing an arc. Without changing the compass width, we put the point on the other end point and also sweep above and below, another arc. We mark where the two arcs meet, and then we can create our bisector neatly through those 2 points. Now what's really important here is that we have ineffectively found the midpoint. Now if you remember, midpoint is an important keyword and it means the middle point in between the two endpoints. Now we learned when we did coordinate geometry how to use a formula to find the midpoint, but if we don't have any coordinates, then we can always create a perpendicular bisector like we just have to find the midpoint instead. Quite often in the junior cert, you are asked to first of all create the perpendicular bisector, and then you may be asked for the location of the midpoint. Alternatively, they may simply ask you to locate the midpoint by construction methods. So it's very important that we know that this is the construction that we use, the perpendicular bisector, to find midway between two endpoints, the middle of a line segment. And don't forget, this line segment could be the side of a shape, the side of a lawn. It's quite often put into real life context. Your third letter to record down is the letter T. You'll be expected to produce this construction a number of times for your homework. Let's have a look at it once more. With no given line segment, you may be asked to draw one first of all, as is the case for your homework. Now, let's just remind ourselves of the correct notation for a line segment. We know that we have 2 points, C and D, and as they are endpoints, we have a square bracket around them. It may be that you are told to draw a line segment of a particular measurement first, and for that we would use our ruler. We would then place the compass needle point on one end point, set the width to more than half the length of the line segment, and draw an arc. Without changing that compass width, We would then place the compass point on the other endpoint D and draw another arc that overlaps the first. We mark the 2 points of intersection where the arcs intersect, where they cross, and then using our straight edge, draw a line through those 2 points. This line is the perpendicular bisector of our line segment CD. So we draw CD, open the compass width more than half, needle on one point, arc around, needle on the second point, overlapping arc, locates the 2 points of intersection, draw a line through those 2 points, indicate that it is perpendicular, and there we have it. For your homework this evening, I've asked you to do page 70, exercise 5.2, question 1, 3 and 4. Please use the video again. You can repeat the steps and rewatch it to create an example to go into your notes copy, which I'll also ask you to upload as well as your homework. Thank you for listening. I shall see you tomorrow for more constructions. But before you go, as a maths teacher, where is Miss Foley's favourite place to go on holiday? Why, it's Times Square, of course.